Hi, Alison Green and fellow tutors. I'm very excited to be meeting with you today and to discuss my work both academically and professionally and how this will contribute to the cohort of 2022 at Central St. Martin's for the degree Culture, Criticism and Curation. So all the questions that you've posed to us today were super insightful and really interesting to talk about. However, I've decided to talk about question 3, which is my experiences with teamwork, how it's been challenging and transformative for me personally, as I think my experience really lends itself to that question. So I think to truly understand this transformation of my teamwork experience, I need to first explain my perception of teamwork that began in high school, specifically my last year. So that last year was a pretty isolating experience, at least for me. Sitting the HSE as a student means that you're being ranked against your classmates, literally being a number, and having your marks compared to one another. For this reason, group work was almost non-existent. At the end of the day, we figured it was every man for themselves. And this learning style I unfortunately brought with me to university. I figured if you want a job done right, you have to do it yourself, which in some instances I believe can be true, but is definitely not a blanket statement. So I began my undergraduate degree, Creative Intelligence and Innovation, and quickly realized that this isolation-esque mindset would not fly, as this course was transdisciplinary. So this meant that I was working in groups with students from all sorts of disciplines, including engineering, business, design, law, nursing, etc. For context, I studied digital and social media and PR as my core degree, so as you can imagine, we had very different styles of communicating and problem solving. Typically, BCII runs with each subject being paired with a partner or an industry stakeholder and having 2 weeks in a problem space that they posed to us and being tasked to solve their problem. This usually meant that group work was fast-paced, a bit hectic, and required excellent teamwork skills and time management. In that first year, I learned a phrase, big, loud, and first, and this refers to a person in a team who, as you can probably guess, always spoke the most, would butt in conversations, and just dominated teamwork generally. And I'm a little bit ashamed to admit that that was definitely me at the time. I was definitely naive in thinking that I had all the answers, and I am now aggressively rolling my eyes at my 18-year-old self. So therefore, challenges arose pretty quickly. Typically, the engineering students like to attack problems logically, collect raw data, primary information and resources, and focus on the problem from the very beginning. I like to approach the problem with a more human-centered approach, so talking to stakeholders, conducting interviews, drawing rich pictures, testing user journeys, and empathy mapping. We would argue over research methods and how to write reports and what data we wanted to include. The list really went on. It was not productive or enjoyable. So to solve this problem, our tutors gave us a stack of method cards, 100 cards that have problem-solving methods from practitioners from all sorts of disciplines. From that point on, we put our differences aside and would use the cards to kind of test our own methods and confirm them or decide that they weren't really the right one to use. 4 years later, I am no longer big, loud, and first. Practicing active listening, patience, and admiration for my peers has allowed me to understand the value of transdisciplinary practice. Even in my professional work, the most notable projects that I've worked on have always been with people from diverse backgrounds. And this is something that I now crave in a creative setting. Creating something that is worthwhile will only work if the people involved are different in every sense. I understand that CCC works in a similar way, and I'm incredibly excited to hopefully test some of my own methods and learn many more with other creative and amazing people. Thank you.